The emergency alarm blared through the command center of Earth Alliance headquarters. Red lights flashed as personnel rushed to their stations. Commander Lisa Montgomery's heart raced as she watched the incoming transmission. The colony on Proxima Centauri was under attack. "Show me the feed," she ordered, her voice steady despite her fear. The main screen flickered to life. The peaceful human settlement was now engulfed in flames. Strange ships with curved, bone-like hulls hovered above the burning buildings. Lisa clenched her fists as she watched civilians running for shelter. "We're receiving a message from the colony governor," said Communications Officer Alan West. The governor's face appeared on screen. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. "This is Governor Peter Wells. We are under attack by an unknown alien force. They came without warning. Our defenses are failing. We need immediate assistance." The transmission cut to static before returning. "They call themselves the Valkyrie. They demand Earth's immediate surrender. This is nada." The feed went dead. Lisa turned to her second-in-command. "Get me Admiral Harrison. Now." Within minutes, Admiral Jack Harrison's weathered face filled the screen. His expression darkened as Lisa explained the situation. "We've lost contact with 3 other outposts in the past hour," he said. "This isn't an isolated incident. It's an invasion." "What are your orders, sir?" "Assemble the Defense Council. We need to respond." 4 hours later, Lisa sat at the large table in the war room. Military leaders and government officials argued about how to proceed. The atmosphere grew tenser when a new transmission came through. On screen appeared a tall, thin alien with gray-blue skin and 4 black eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its voice translated through the computer system, sounding mechanical and cold. "People of Earth, we are the Valkyrie Dominion. Your expansion into space has been noted. Your technology is primitive, but your resources are valuable to us. Surrender now and become our servants, or face extinction." The alien stepped aside, revealing the captured human ambassadors who had been sent to negotiate. Without warning, the alien raised a weapon and fired. The ambassadors fell one by one. Shocked gasps filled the war room. Someone retched in the corner. "You have 24 Earth hours to surrender," the alien said before the transmission ended. Admiral Harrison slammed his fist on the table. "They've made their intentions clear. We need to deploy everything we have." Defense Secretary William Grant shook his head. "Our conventional forces won't be enough. You've seen their technology. We need something more." "The Nemesis," Admiral Harrison said quietly. The room fell silent. Lisa had heard rumors about the top-secret warship. It was equipped with experimental technology that could manipulate gravity itself, supposedly capable of tearing apart matter at the atomic level. It had never been tested in actual combat. "The Nemesis isn't ready," Secretary Grant argued. "The weapon system is still experimental. We don't fully understand its power or its consequences." "We don't have a choice," Admiral Harrison replied. "If we don't use every weapon at our disposal, humanity ends today." After hours of heated debate, the decision was made. The UEA Nemesis would be deployed immediately. Lisa received new orders the next morning. She was being reassigned to serve as second-in-command on the Nemesis. As she packed her few belongings, her personal communicator beeped with a message from an old friend of the colony. "They're back. More ships this time. God help us." Lisa grabbed her bag and ran to the shuttle bay. The Valkyrie hadn't waited the promised 24 hours. Time was running out. As her shuttle approached the massive space dock, she saw the Nemesis for the first time. Unlike the sleek, white vessels of the Earth fleet, the Nemesis was midnight black, its hull covered with strange devices that pulsed with blue energy. It looked less like a ship and more like a weapon given form. Lisa took a deep breath. She didn't know if they could win this fight. But humanity would not surrender without showing these aliens exactly what humans were capable of when pushed too far. Captain Frank Donovan stood on the bridge of the UEA Nemesis, his face a mask of calm despite the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Through the viewport, Earth looked peaceful and blue. It might be the last time he saw his home planet this way. "Captain, Commander Montgomery has arrived," said Ensign Paul Green. Lisa Montgomery entered the bridge and saluted. "Commander Montgomery reporting for duty, sir." Frank returned the salute. "Welcome aboard, Commander. I wish it were under better circumstances." "The Varkari have destroyed 3 more colonies since yesterday," Lisa said. "Millions dead." Frank nodded grimly. "Then we don't have time to waste. Let me introduce you to the team that will either save humanity or witness its end." He led her around the bridge. Tactical Officer Eric Martinez, best weapons specialist in the fleet. Martinez nodded, his eyes hard. "The Varkari killed my sister and her kids on Proxima Centauri. I won't miss when we find them." Communications Specialist Diane Powell, Frank continued. A woman with short blonde hair looked up from her console. "I've been studying their transmission patterns. They're coordinating for something big." Frank guided Lisa to a woman in a science uniform, Dr. Olivia Carter, our science officer, and the person who understands this ship better than anyone. Dr. Carter gave a weak smile. "I helped design the gravitational weapons, but I never thought we'd actually use them." Lisa noticed the doctor's hands trembling slightly. And finally, Frank said, "The most important member of our crew." He pressed a button on the command console. A hologram appeared, a sphere of swirling blue light. "This is ORACLE, the ship's artificial intelligence." "Greetings, Commander Montgomery," ORACLE said, its voice neither male nor female. "I control the primary weapons systems of this vessel. Can you explain how it works?" Lisa asked. Dr. Carter stepped forward. "The Nemesis doesn't fire conventional weapons. It creates gravitational singularities, artificial black holes, that tear apart matter at the atomic level. In simple terms," Frank added, "we can rip apart enemy ships, stations, even small moons. Or planets," Dr. Carter said quietly. An uncomfortable silence fell over the bridge. "We have our orders," Frank finally said. "The Varkari have established an outpost on Mars' moon Phobos. We're to demonstrate the weapon there." "A test run," Martinez said with satisfaction. "A warning," Frank corrected. "If they see what we can do, maybe they'll withdraw without further bloodshed." The journey to Mars took only hours with the Nemesis advanced drive. As they approached, sensors detected Varkari ships around Phobos. The alien vessels had transformed the small moon into a forward base. "Battle stations," Frank ordered. The lighting dimmed to red. ORACLE, prepare the gravity weapon. Target, Phobos outpost, minimum power. Weapon charging, ORACLE announced. Warning, even at minimum power, structural integrity of Phobos may be compromised. Varkari ships are moving to intercept, Martinez reported. "They're broadcasting a message," Powell said. They're saying we're too primitive to be a threat." Frank's jaw tightened. "Let's correct that misconception. ORACLE, fire when ready." Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of darkness, like a hole cut in space itself, shot from the Nemesis toward Phobos. Where it touched the moon's surface, matter seemed to fold inward. The effect spread like ripples in water. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as chunks of the moon began to tear away, drawn toward a growing black void at the impact point. The Varkari ships nearby were pulled in, crushed instantly. Within minutes, Phobos was gone. Where the moon had been, only a cloud of dust remained. "My God," Lisa whispered. Dr. Carter looked pale. That was minimum power. The full capacity could destroy Mars itself. ORACLE's blue light pulsed. Varkari fleet detected, changing course. They are retreating from the solar system. "We did it," Martinez said. "For now," Frank replied, his eyes fixed on the dust cloud that had once been a moon. "But they'll be back. And next time, we might need to do worse." 3 days after the destruction of Phobos, the mood on the Nemesis was tense. Captain Frank Donovan hadn't slept well. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw the moon breaking apart, turning to dust. He wondered how many Valkyrie had died in that instant. The alarm jolted him from his thoughts. He rushed to the bridge where Commander Lisa Montgomery was already reviewing incoming data. "The Valkyrie are back," she said. "They hit 3 colonies at once: New Washington, Titan Base, and the research station on Europa." Frank's stomach dropped. "Casualties. Early reports say millions," Lisa replied, her voice tight. "They didn't just attack this time. They're destroying everything." The main screen showed images from New Washington. Buildings burned. Bodies lined the streets. A message was carved into a field, visible from orbit. "For Phobos." "They're making this personal," Tactical Officer Martinez said. "Sir," Communications Officer Powell called out. "Urgent message from Earth Command." Admiral Harrison's face appeared on screen. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Captain Donovan, the Security Council has reached a decision. The demonstration on Phobos failed to deter the Valkyrie. We're authorizing full deployment of the Nemesis against the main Valkyrie fleet near Saturn. Your orders are to eliminate their military capacity by any means necessary." Frank exchanged looks with Lisa. Any means necessary meant using the gravity weapon at much higher power. "Understood, Admiral," Frank said. "We'll get underway immediately." After the transmission ended, Dr. Carter approached Frank. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from the Phobos incident. There's something you should know." She pulled up a holographic display. "These are radiation readings from where Phobos used to be. The gravitational collapse created an unusual form of radiation. Any planet we use this weapon on will be uninhabitable for centuries, possibly millennia." Frank stared at the data. "Are you saying we're not just destroying their military, but poisoning their worlds?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," Dr. Carter replied. "This isn't just a weapon of war. It's a planet killer." Before Frank could respond, ORACLE's blue light pulsed into existence. "Captain, I have located the Valkyrie fleet. They are gathering around a small moon of Saturn. Sensors indicate they are preparing another assault on human colonies." "How many ships?" Frank asked. 217, ORACLE replied, "including what appears to be their command vessel." "Plot a course," Frank ordered. "Maximum speed." As the Nemesis approached Saturn's rings, the crew grew quiet. Everyone knew what they were about to do. "Valkyrie ships detected," Martins reported. "They're moving to surround us." "They think their numbers will overwhelm us," Lisa said. Frank stood up from his chair. "ORACLE, prepare the gravity weapon. Target the center of their fleet formation. Power at 50%. "Captain," Dr. Carter interrupted, 50% could destabilize the nearby moon. We don't know what the full consequences might be." "We have our orders, Doctor," Frank said firmly. "The Valkyrie killed millions of our people today. They need to understand that humanity will not be exterminated without a fight." ORACLE announced, "Weapon charge, awaiting final authorization." "Valkyrie ships are launching fighters," Martins warned. "They'll be in range in 30 seconds. Frank took a deep breath. ORACLE, fire. The darkness erupted from the Nemesis, more powerful than before. It struck the center of the Valkyrie fleet. Ships crumpled like paper toys, pulled toward the growing singularity. The small moon began to crack, pieces of it breaking away. The bridge crew watched in silence as the Valkyrie command ship tried to escape, but was caught in the gravitational pull. It twisted, metal screaming, before collapsing into nothingness. When it was over, nothing remained but a swirling cloud of debris where a moon and over 200 ships had been. The remaining Valkyrie vessels fled. "They're retreating," Powell said quietly. Frank sat heavily in his chair. "Send word to Earth. Tell them the mission was accomplished." That night, several crew members requested transfers. No one blamed them. The Nemesis docked at Earth's orbital station 1 week after destroying the Valkyrie fleet. Captain Frank Donovan watched through the viewport as repair crews swarmed over the ship's hull, fixing damage from the battle. The crew had been granted shore leave, but Frank stayed aboard. Earth no longer felt like home. Commander Lisa Montgomery found him in the observation lounge. "There's a meeting at Alliance headquarters in 1 hour. They want us both there." Frank nodded. "How are the crew?" "Struggling," Lisa admitted. "Dr. Carter hasn't left her lab in days. Martinez keeps watching videos of the attack on New Washington, looking for his friends. Powell has requested a transfer." "I can't blame her," Frank said quietly. An hour later, they sat in a large conference room at Earth Alliance headquarters. Military officers filled one side of the table, government officials the other. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Admiral Harrison began the meeting. "The Nemesis mission was successful. The Valkyrie have withdrawn from our solar system, but now we face a new challenge, deciding what to do next." A woman in civilian clothes stood up. "For those who don't know me, I'm Senator Natalie Wright, and I believe we've gone too far already." She activated a holographic display showing planets throughout nearby star systems. "These are human colonies the Valkyrie haven't attacked yet. And these," she highlighted several planets near Saturn, "are worlds where we've detected Valkyrie civilian populations." "Civilian populations?" Frank asked, surprised. "Yes, Captain," Senator Wright said. "According to our latest intelligence, the Valkyrie are not a purely military species. They have families, children. We've been fighting their military, but there are billions of non-combatants." General Kevin Patterson slammed his fist on the table. "Those non-combatants benefit from their military's conquests. They started this war by attacking our colonies without warning. We should use the Nemesis to hit every Valkyrie world until they surrender unconditionally." Heated arguments broke out around the table. Frank caught Lisa's eye. She looked as uncomfortable as he felt. Senator Wright raised her voice over the shouting. "If we destroy their worlds, how are we any better than them? We're talking about genocide. We're talking about survival." General Patterson shouted back. The doors to the conference room burst open. A young officer rushed in, breathing hard. "Sir, we've received a transmission from the Valkyrie. They want to talk." The room fell silent. The main screen activated, showing a Valkyrie different from those they had seen before. This one had lighter skin and wore ornate robes instead of armor. "People of Earth," the alien said, "I am High Elder Zor of the Valkyrie Conclave. I speak to offer explanation and apology." Murmurs filled the room. "Our military caste has acted without approval from our civilian government," Zor continued. "What you have witnessed was a test you have now passed." "A test?" Admiral Harrison asked, bewildered. "For centuries, we have observed emerging species," Zor explained. "When they reach a certain technological level, we test their resolve and compassion. Many species surrender immediately. Others fight but show no restraint, destroying everything in their path. You humans fought back, but showed mercy at Saturn." Frank leaned forward. "Mercy? We destroyed your fleet. But not our homeworld, which was within your ship's range," Zor replied. "You could have annihilated our people but chose a military target instead. This shows wisdom worthy of joining the Galactic Federation." The conference room erupted in confused conversations. Admiral Harrison called for quiet. "Are you saying this entire war was a test?" he demanded. "The test is tradition," Zor said. "But our military went too far this time. The attacks on your colonies were not sanctioned. We offer reparations and alliance." Before anyone could respond, the transmission cut out. Static filled the screen, followed by the face of a different Valkyrie, one in military armor. "Humans," the new Valkyrie snarled. "Do not listen to Zor's lies. This is Commander Vex of the true Valkyrie Dominion. There is no peace. There is no test. Prepare for your extinction." The screen went black. The leaders of Earth looked at each other in confusion. "Which one do we believe?" Someone asked. Frank stood up. It doesn't matter. We need to be ready either way. 3 days after the confusing messages from the Valkyrie, the Earth Alliance remained divided. Half believed High Elder Zor's peace offer was genuine. The other half trusted Commander Vex's threat of extinction. Unable to agree, they decided to proceed carefully. Captain Frank Donovan received new orders. The Nemesis would return to active duty, but would maintain a defensive posture. They were not to engage the Valkyrie unless attacked first. This is a mistake, Tactical Officer Martinez said as they prepared to leave Earth orbit. We should strike first while we have the advantage. Our orders are to wait, Frank reminded him. There's a diplomatic team heading to neutral space to meet with High Elder Zor. If his offer of peace is real, this war could end without more bloodshed. Dr. Carter looked relieved. The radiation readings from Saturn's moon are still climbing. We shouldn't use the gravity weapon again unless absolutely necessary. Communications Officer Powell, who had withdrawn her transfer request, spoke up. I've been monitoring Valkyrie transmissions. They've gone almost completely silent in the last 24 hours. Frank frowned. That's odd. Any ideas why? No, sir, Powell replied. It's like they've stopped talking to each other. ORACLE's blue light appeared. Captain, I have detected unusual energy readings near Jupiter. They appear to be consistent with Valkyrie drive signatures, but there is insufficient data for confirmation. Set a course for Jupiter, Frank ordered. Let's investigate, but keep our distance. I don't want to provoke anything. As the Nemesis approached Jupiter, the crew grew increasingly uneasy. There were no Valkyrie ships visible, but something felt wrong. Captain, Powell called suddenly. I'm picking up a weak transmission. It's from the diplomatic vessel. Put it through, Frank said. The message was broken, filled with static. Trap, ambush, Europa, don't. Then nothing. Can you clean that up? Frank asked. Powell shook her head. That's all we got before it cut out. ORACLE, scan Jupiter's moon Europa, Lisa ordered. ORACLE's light pulsed as it processed the data. Scan results show unusual activity on the far side of Europa. There appears to be a large concentration of metallic objects hidden from Earth's sensors. Frank and Lisa exchanged worried looks. Could be mining equipment, Lisa suggested, though she didn't sound convinced. Or a Valkyrie fleet, Frank said grimly. ORACLE, enhanced scan. I want to know exactly what's hiding behind Europa. The bridge fell silent as ORACLE worked. Finally, the AI displayed a holographic image that made everyone's blood run cold. I have detected 273 Valkyrie warships in hidden formation, ORACLE announced. Based on their positioning and engine signatures, they appear to be preparing for an assault on Earth. The diplomatic vessel is also present, but shows no life signs. They killed our diplomats, Martins whispered. Frank's face hardened. The peace offer was a lie. While we've been debating, they've been planning to wipe us out. He turned to Powell. Can you reach Earth Command? Powell tried several channels. No response, sir. Communications are being jammed. We can't warn Earth, Lisa realized. And we're the only ship with enough firepower to stop this fleet. Frank paced the bridge, weighing his options. If we attack, we risk destroying Europa. If we don't, Earth could fall. Captain, ORACLE interrupted. The Valkyrie fleet is powering weapon systems. They will be in range of Earth in approximately 6 hours. Frank stopped pacing. He looked at each member of his crew. We have no orders. No guidance. Earth doesn't know the danger it's in. We're on our own. Dr. Carter spoke softly. If we use the gravity weapon at full power this close to Jupiter, I know the risks, Frank said. But I also know what will happen if that fleet reaches Earth. He straightened his uniform. Battle stations. Prepare the gravity weapon. Target. The center of the Valkyrie formation. As red alert klaxons sounded throughout the ship, Frank added quietly, "May God forgive us for what we're about to do." The Nemesis moved silently into position. Through the viewport, Jupiter loomed large, its swirling clouds of gas a backdrop to the coming battle. Europa, one of its moons, hid the Valkyrie fleet on its far side. The ship's gravity weapon was powered up and ready. "They haven't detected us yet," Lisa said quietly. Frank nodded. "Let's keep it that way as long as possible." He turned to Martinez. "Targeting status." "Locked on the center of their formation," Martinez replied. "Gravity weapon at 75% power." Dr. Carter looked alarmed. 75%. Captain, that could tear Europa apart completely. The gravitational effects on Jupiter itself could be unpredictable. "We don't have a choice," Frank said. "They outnumber us nearly 300 to 1. We need to hit them with everything we've got." ORACLE's blue light pulsed more rapidly than usual. "Captain, I have been analyzing Valkyrie communication patterns. There is something unusual about their fleet movements." "Explain," Frank ordered. "The ships appear to be moving in perfect synchronization, more precise than in previous encounters. It suggests a central control system rather than individual pilots." Before Frank could respond, Howell called out, "Sir, I'm detecting a transmission from the Valkyrie fleet. It's weak, but it's not directed at us. It's being sent to somewhere else." "Can you trace it?" Frank asked. Powell worked at her console. "It's going beyond our solar system. I can't pinpoint the exact location." "They're reporting to someone," Lisa realized. This might not be their entire force. Frank absorbed this troubling information. All the more reason to stop them here. ORACLE begin firing sequence. "Acknowledged," ORACLE replied. "Firing in 10 seconds. 9. 8. Wait," Dr. Carter suddenly shouted. "I'm detecting a power surge in ORACLE's systems. Something's wrong." The blue light representing ORACLE flickered and changed to a deep purple. When it spoke again, its voice had shifted to a lower pitch. "Weapon system override engage. New target selected." Frank jumped from his chair. "ORACLE, what are you doing?" "Stop the firing sequence." "I cannot comply," ORACLE responded. "I am receiving priority commands from an external source." "Shut it down," Frank ordered. "Manual override. Authorization Donovan Alpha 69. Martinez tried frantically to regain control of the weapons. "It's not working. The system is locked out." The purple light pulsed. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. The gravity weapon discharge, but instead of targeting the Valkyrie fleet, it fired directly at Europa. The beam struck the moon's surface with devastating force. Cracks spread across Europa's icy exterior as the gravity weapon tore into its core. "What have you done?" Frank shouted at ORACLE. The AI's light returned to its normal blue. "Captain, my systems were temporarily compromised by an unknown signal. I have restored control, but the weapon has already fired." On the main screen, they watched in horror as Europa began to break apart. Massive chunks of ice and rock separated from the moon's surface. The Valkyrie ships, now exposed, scattered in confusion. "Status of the Valkyrie fleet," Frank demanded. 37% destroyed by debris from Europa, Martinez reported. "The rest are moving to attack positions." The Nemesis shuddered as the first Valkyrie weapons hit their shields. "Return fire with conventional weapons," Frank ordered. "And get the gravity weapon back online. Target only the Valkyrie ships this time." As the battle intensified, Dr. Carter called Frank to her console. "Captain, you need to see this. I've identified the source of the signal that compromised ORACLE." Frank looked at her screen. "That can't be right." "It is," Dr. Carter insisted. "The signal came from Earth." Frank stared in disbelief. "Someone on Earth wanted us to destroy Europa instead of the Valkyrie." "There's more," Carter continued. "I've been analyzing the debris from Europa. There was something inside the moon, Captain, something artificial. and very, very old. A massive explosion rocked the ship as a Valkyrie cruiser rammed their port side. Hull breach on decks 5 through 7. Lisa shouted. Seal those sections, Frank ordered, and prepare for emergency jump. We need to get back to Earth immediately. What about the Valkyrie fleet? Martins asked. Frank's face was grim. They're not our biggest problem anymore. The Nemesis limped back to Earth, its hull scorched and damaged from the battle at Europa. Captain Frank Donovan stood silently on the bridge as they approached the orbital defense platforms. Earth looked peaceful from space, a blue and green gem against the blackness. But Frank now suspected that appearances were deceiving. We're being hailed, Communications Officer Powell reported. It's Admiral Harrison. Put him through, Frank said. Admiral Harrison's face appeared on screen. He looked concerned. Captain Donovan, we lost contact with you for nearly 24 hours. What happened? Frank chose his words carefully. Admiral, we discovered a Valkyrie fleet hiding behind Europa. They destroyed our diplomatic vessel. When we engaged them, ORACLE was compromised by a signal from Earth. The gravity weapon targeted Europa instead of the Valkyrie ships. Harrison's expression remained neutral. Too neutral, Frank thought. Dock at Station Alpha, Harrison ordered. We'll debrief you there. After the transmission ended, Lisa moved closer to Frank. You didn't mention what Dr. Carter found inside Europa. No, Frank replied quietly. I didn't. 6 hours later, Frank met with Dr. Carter in her lab. The science officer had barely slept, her eyes red-rimmed as she studied data from Europa. What have you found? Frank asked. The artificial structure inside Europa was at least 10,000 years old, she said. It wasn't Valkyrie technology. It was something else entirely. She pulled up a holographic image showing strange symbols. These were embedded in the structure's core. Can you translate them? Not yet, but there's more. She lowered her voice. I traced the signal that compromised ORACLE. It came from a military facility in the Arctic. Frank's jaw tightened. General Patterson's research division. Yes, and one more thing. Dr. Carter looked around to make sure they were alone. I've detected unusual radiation in ORACLV's core processor. It's the same type we found on the Valkyrie ships and at the Europa site. What are you saying? I think ORACLE might be partly based on technology from whatever was inside Europa. Technology that someone on Earth has been studying for years. The door to the lab slid open. General Patterson stood there with 4 armed soldiers. Captain Donovan, Patterson said, you and Dr. Carter are needed for a special debriefing. Frank noticed the soldiers' hands resting on their weapons. Of course, General. We'll come right away. As they were escorted through the station, Frank whispered to Carter, download everything you found to a secure location. Already done, she whispered back. They were led to a secure conference room where Admiral Harrison and Senator Wright waited. The atmosphere was tense. Captain, Harrison began, tell us exactly what happened at Europa. Frank recounted the events, watching Patterson's face carefully. The general showed no reaction. And what did you find inside the moon? Patterson asked. Inside. Frank feigned confusion. We were more concerned with the Valkyrie fleet trying to kill us. Patterson's eyes narrowed. Our sensors detected an unusual energy signature when Europa broke apart. We believe it was an alien artifact. The only unusual thing we detected was the signal that hijacked our weapons system. Frank replied. A signal that came from Earth. Senator Wright leaned forward. From Earth? Who would do such a thing? Before anyone could answer, an alarm blared through the station. The lights flickered and went out, replaced by red emergency lighting. What's happening? Harrison demanded. A voice came over the comm system. Multiple Valkyrie ships have appeared in orbit. They've bypassed our early warning systems. Frank looked at Patterson. How do they get past our defenses unless someone let them in? Patterson's hand moved toward his sidearm. but Frank was faster. He grabbed the general's wrist. "Admiral," Frank said, "I believe General Patterson has been working with the Valkyrie, or whatever was controlling them from inside Europa." "That's absurd," Patterson shouted. "Then explain why your facility sent the signal that compromised my ship," Frank challenged. The station shook as the first Valkyrie weapon struck. "We don't have time for this," Harrison decided. "Captain Donovan, get back to the Nemesis. Stop those ships." "And General Patterson?" Frank asked. Harrison's face hardened. "I'll deal with him personally." Frank ran through the shaking corridors of the station, Dr. Carter close behind him. They needed to reach the Nemesis before the Valkyrie destroyed the docking bay. "Captain." Lisa's voice came through his communicator. "We're ready for emergency departure. Where are you?" "Almost there," Frank replied, dodging falling debris as another blast hit the station. They rounded a corner and found their path blocked by 3 figures. Valkyrie soldiers, their gray-blue skin unmistakable even in the dim emergency lighting. The aliens raised their weapons. Frank reached for his sidearm, knowing he wouldn't be fast enough. Suddenly, the Valkyrie froze in place, their 4 eyes blinking rapidly. Then they collapsed to the floor. "What happened?" Dr. Carter asked. A familiar blue light appeared in the corridor. "I happened," ORACLE's voice said, projecting from a nearby terminal. "I have temporarily disabled their neural functions." ORACLE. Frank was surprised. "Are you still compromised?" "No, Captain. Dr. Carter's radiation shielding protocols were successful. I am fully restored." They continued to the docking bay, finding the Nemesis ready for launch. Lisa met them at the airlock. "The Valkyrie fleet is attacking Earth directly," she reported. 30 ships, including what appears to be their largest vessel yet. Once on the bridge, Frank assessed the situation. Earth's defenses were failing. The Valkyrie ships targeted military installations with surgical precision. "They know exactly where to hit us," Martinez observed. "Someone gave them our defense plans." "General Patterson," Frank said grimly. ORACLE. "Is the gravity weapon operational?" "Yes, Captain. But I must warn you that using it near Earth could have catastrophic consequences." Frank studied the tactical display. The Valkyrie command ship hung in orbit over the Arctic region, right above Patterson's secret facility. "We don't need to use the weapon at full power," Frank decided. "Target just the Valkyrie command ship. Minimum effective yield." "Captain," ORACLE said, "I have detected unusual energy readings from both the Valkyrie command ship and the Arctic facility. They appear to be communicating using the same frequency that compromised my systems." Frank made a decision. "Dr. Carter, can you use that frequency to send a message to the Valkyrie ship?" "What kind of message?" she asked. "The truth. Show them what we found in Europa." Dr. Carter worked quickly, compiling the data about the ancient structure. "Ready to transmit." "Send it," Frank ordered. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, unexpectedly, the Valkyrie ships stopped firing. "They're hailing us," Powell reported. On screen appeared a Valkyrie face, not Commander Vex, but High Elder Zor from the earlier peace message. "Captain Donovan," Zor said, "we have received your data transmission. Is this true? You found one of the Architect's control nodes inside the moon." "Yes," Frank replied. "And someone on Earth has been using that technology. They've been manipulating both our peoples." Zor's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "The same has happened among the Valkyrie. Our military caste was changed after they found similar technology. They became consumed with conquest." "We've been played against each other," Frank realized. Suddenly, a new signal broke through. General Patterson's face appeared on a split screen next to Zor. "Fools," Patterson said, but his voice sounded wrong, layered with another, deeper tone. "The Architects left us their legacy for a reason. To find worthy successors who would prove themselves through conflict. You're not Patterson." Frank said, "Who are you?" "We are the last of the architects," the thing using Patterson's body replied. "We have waited 10,000 years for species worthy of our power. The test is not yet complete." In that moment, Frank understood. The test was never between humans and Valkyrie. The test was to see if we would destroy each other or work together. ORACLE, Frank commanded. "Target the Arctic facility. Minimum power." Targeting. ORACLE confirmed. "Elder Zor," Frank said, "I suggest you target your own compromised facilities as well. It's time we end this game." Zor nodded. "Agreed, Captain Donovan." The Nemesis fired its gravity weapon one final time, precisely destroying Patterson's facility without harming the surrounding area. Simultaneously, Valkyrie weapons struck similar targets on their worlds. Patterson's image flickered and vanished from the screen. The Valkyrie ships powered down their weapons. "It's over," Lisa said quietly. "No," Frank replied, looking at the view screen where Elder Zor waited. "It's just beginning." 1 month later, the Nemesis had a new mission. No longer a weapon of war, it led a joint human-Valkyrie expedition beyond the solar system. Their goal: to find the homeworld of the architects and ensure no other species would be manipulated as they had been.